Before Christopher Columbus, before the British colonies, before the United States of America even existed, this land was already alive. It had rivers flowing through ancient forests, mountains touching the skies, and across this vast land, millions of people were already living, building, trading, fighting, praying, and dreaming. They were not strangers to this land. They were its first people. Long before Europeans arrived, North America was home to hundreds of native nations. Each tribe had its own language, its own traditions, its own way of life. They were not one single people. They were the Cherokee, the Sioux, the Apache, the Navajo, the Pueblo, the Iroquois, the Inuit, and many more. Each nation was unique. Each had its own powerful story. Some lived in dense forests. Some crossed the Great Plains following buffalo herds. Some built homes in deserts. Others lived in frozen northern lands surrounded by snow and ice. This was not an empty land waiting to be discovered. It was already a world of civilizations. One of the greatest examples was Cahokia. Near present-day Illinois, Cahokia was one of the largest cities in North America. At its peak, around the year 1100, it had more people than London. Yes, before Europeans arrived, America already had cities larger than some of Europe's greatest capitals. Cahokia had giant earth mounds, busy marketplaces, organized communities, and strong leadership. People traded goods across long distances. Shells from the Gulf Coast, copper from the Great Lakes, stones from far mountains. Trade routes connected entire regions. This was a thriving civilization. And Cahokia was only one example. In the southwest, the Pueblo people built incredible adobe cities into cliffs and deserts. Their homes were strong and beautiful. They farmed corn, beans, and squash in harsh desert conditions. They understood the land deeply. In the eastern forests, the Cherokee and Iroquois built powerful societies. The Iroquois Confederacy was one of the most advanced political systems of its time. It united several nations under one government. Some historians even believe its ideas later influenced American democracy itself. Think about that. Before the United States had a constitution, native nations already had systems of law and leadership. On the Great Plains, tribes like the Sioux and Cheyenne followed buffalo migrations. The buffalo was life, food, clothing, tools, shelter. Nothing was wasted. Every part had meaning. Life was connected to nature. Not owned, respected. In the far north, the Inuit survived some of the harshest climates on Earth. Snow, ice, freezing winds. Yet they built lives there through skill, knowledge, and resilience. Across the continent, native people understood the land better than anyone. They were farmers, hunters, builders, warriors, artists, healers, storytellers, astronomers, leaders. They had spiritual beliefs deeply tied to the earth, the sky, the animals, and the seasons. Stories were passed from generation to generation through oral tradition. History was spoken, not written, but remembered, strongly, powerfully. Then, everything changed. In 1492, Christopher Columbus arrived in the Americas. He believed he had found a new route to Asia. He had no idea he had entered a world already filled with civilizations. Soon after came the Spanish, then the French, then the British. Explorers became settlers. Settlers became colonizers. And colonization began. At first, there was curiosity. Trade happened. Some native groups welcomed Europeans. Some were cautious. Some resisted. But over time, conflict grew. Europeans wanted land. Native people were the land. And the land was everything. Then came something even more deadly than war. Disease. Smallpox. Measles. Influenza. Diseases the native people had never faced before. They had no immunity. Entire villages disappeared. Entire nations were weakened before battles even began. Some historians estimate that millions died from disease alone. Imagine that. Not because of war, but because invisible sickness arrived with strangers. Then came forced removal, broken treaties, violence, massacres, land theft, families separated, cultures attacked, sacred places destroyed, entire civilizations pushed to the edge of survival. The story of colonization is not only exploration. It is also loss, deep loss. But this is not only a story of destruction. It is also a story of survival. Because native people did not disappear. They survived. They adapted. They fought. They protected their identity. Even today, Native American communities continue to exist across the United States. Their languages are being revived. Their traditions continue. Their ceremonies remain alive. Their voices are stronger than ever. They are not just part of history. They are part of America today. From tribal governments to cultural festivals. From art and music to education and leadership. Their legacy continues. And perhaps the most important truth is this. America did not begin in 1776. It did not begin with Columbus. It did not begin with the British colonies. America began thousands of years earlier. With the first footsteps of its first people. The Native Americans. The indigenous nations. The original guardians of this land. Their story is not a side note. It is the first chapter. And maybe, the most important one. Because before colonization, before flags, before borders, before history books written by conquerors, there were already people here. Living, loving, building civilizations, calling this land home. And that history deserves to be remembered. Because the true story of America begins long before America had a name. This is where America really